Okay, everybody, if you guys are like me and you ride your bike pretty hard, you burn up brakes. Today, I'm gonna hit up on replacing these brakes, those brakes, everything. We're gonna go with a whole new setup, hydraulics, and we're gonna tackle that now. Okay, before we start ordering everything off of Amazon, let's do some measurements. We're gonna measure up these two top connections here, and we're looking at about 74 millimeters. And then we're also going to measure up here, and you want to measure right around the center there, and that's 54 or no 51 millimeters. So we know our measurements here and our measurements here, so when we order up the brake set, we're making sure that we're getting the right size for this application. Another thing you need to measure up is the distance of your rotor. That can be kind of challenging if you don't have a caliper or your caliper is not long enough. Another way you can do that is measure it up this way. Unfortunately, I'm kind of in the way there, but I can get it pretty close. We are, looks like about 6.5. Yeah, about 6.5 inches. So I take 6.5 and convert that over to millimeters. That should be right about 160 millimeters. Some of these rotors are going to be 180 millimeter, and some of them are even bigger than that. Fortunately, this size that I have is really common at 160 millimeter. So we'll get those ordered up and put them on. All right, so now we have our brake kit. We've got our new rotors and everything else in here. First thing I want to do before we get too deep in it is I got to free up all these brake cables. So I had to zip tie them on when I built this bike. I don't want to cut my cable. All right, got that one loose. That one loose. I'm gonna have to remove that. The reason why I want to free up all of these cables is, well, one, this back one is already hydraulic, and I want to have all the lines free so there's no binding. I'll take off these first and then come back to the actual brakes themselves. But for now, we'll get them all freed up. So now that we've got all the cables freed up, before we start pulling the grips off and taking these off, what we're going to do is pop off this back tire, and then we're going to pull these off and replace this, because when we put the new brakes on, we want to make sure that the rotors are on here so we don't run the risk of compressing it and blowing out the pre-filled lines. They're already pressurized to the right pressure you need, so you won't have to re-bleed your brakes. So swapping this out, this is going to be a, what size is this? This is a T25 Torx. You're going to do this about the same as you would like a car tire or car wheel. You can take it off any way you want, but when you put it back on, you got to make sure that it is torqued down the right way. And these all have blue Loctite on them, so I will refresh that blue Loctite when we put it on. And I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but right here there's a little arrow pointing that way. The new rotor also has that arrow. So when I go to put that on, I gotta make sure that it is going that way. And this is actually really simple, nothing too crazy about it. Pops off. You can see they are both about the same size. These are 2.5 millimeter, same size. The only reason why I'm really changing this one out is you can see it's a little glazed over. I could probably get a lot more use out of it. It could last longer, but my kit came with this, so swapping it out. I'm going to put the new one on. Notice I cleaned it up a little bit here. Made sure that all that dust and debris was off of there. And we are going to make sure that that is going the right direction. And my blue Loctite is on here, still a little wet. I'll probably speed this up so you don't have to be living through the boredom of how I'm putting these all together. So there you go. There's no real torque specs on this. Just tighten it up until it is very snug. And there you go. Okay. And now that's in place. All right, so we got the tire back on. New rotor in place. Now we can knock out the front one, put it back on, and then we can start tackling pulling these off, and then pulling off the hand brakes, coming all the way back down, and then pulling off the calipers themselves. Very last thing we'll do, and then start installing the new stuff. All right, we'll tackle these. And there we go, got that one. All right, next. And there you go. Just wanted to show you how tough it is. Really don't need to worry about saving these. I could have cut them off. I'm gonna put new grips on anyway. Oh well. Next task. So we've got to pull these off. And if I remember right, these are Allen. Yes. Should be 5mm. Loosen that up. And, oh, that's right. I've got my cables going to the brain here. I have to loosen all these up. If you have a prefab, you bought an e-bike, you're not going to have so many cables on here like I do. This is a build bike. I bought a Mongoose Dolomite and built this myself using the Baofeng motor kit. So I have a little extra cables that most of you won't have. Not that one. Which one is it? Holy smokes. Too many cables run through here. There we go. That's loose. Now we're ready to do the front. I'll pull the back off. Now the rear brakes, I already changed out from the original cable style brake to hydraulic using the Shimano conversion, and I wasn't real thrilled with it. I mean, it worked fine. It came, pre-bled. It works really well. I mean, it did its job. However, I needed a little bit better quality and better integration. So what I'm going to do is swap it out completely with new systems. All right, so now we've got it broken down. Now we're down to the nitty-gritty of it. What we're gonna do is pull these off. You need to pay close attention to these right here. These are little shims that are gonna allow you to get it up and down, and make sure that it mates up perfectly. And you really need it to mate up to the rotor just right. And we will get that almost all the way out. Slightly back in, and same thing on this side. Okay, this side I will take all the way out. Pull these out. These are my spacers and shims, and I don't know if you can see it really well, but they're concave there, and it cups in there so it can be slightly adjusted. And then this side is the opposite. Set those there. And pull that out. all set aside. And I'm going to carefully pull this off. I guess if you're just going to toss them, it doesn't really matter. You can pull it off, yank it up, do whatever. But I'm not going to do that. I want to save these, plus I'm going to inspect. They held up pretty good. Now this is a dual piston, just like the one I'm putting on. It's actually the same style piston by Shimano. I just wanted a different set. The reason why I'm going with this one is because of this. This one is an add-on to an e-bike that can be used on a regular bike. This one's specifically designed for an e-bike. So that's why I'm going with this one. It already pre-wired for my brake shutoff to shut off the motor when I hit the brake. So these are resin brake pads. I'm going to put a semi-metallic brake pad on there. So I'm going to have to pull this pin and then pull this out, and it'll slide out this way. We'll put the new one in, put the pin back in. Okay, let's dive right in and swap out the brake pads. Why am I doing this on a brand new set of brake pad or brakes? Well, I'm going to go with some semi-metallic brakes, go away from the organic resin brakes. And why am I doing that? I want to make sure I have better stopping capability. So let's dive right in on how to change out these brakes. First thing I'm going to do is take my needle nose pliers, bend that cotter pin back, and slide that out. And the brakes should just slide right on out of there. And I'll open up these. I actually got this kit on Amazon. It's 25 brake pads, or 25 sets of brake pads, plus some little tools, a little spreader tool. This is a tensioner tool for the cable, although this particular style is for cable style, not really for working with hydraulic. Anyhow, we're going to take these and line them up like that. Line this guy up on there, and now they're ready to slide in. And slide them on in there. Gotta get them in there just right. And they just kind of click in place like that. And then I spin it over. And I'm going to reuse this one. This one's a little on the long side. Well, before I do that, let's straighten that out a little bit better. There we go. And work that in there. And then bend this back. About like that. Now I'm ready to go. I'm going to use this to keep the brake pads apart, and that just clicks right over the cotter pin like that and locks in place. And that's how easy it is to change out your brake pads if you need to swap them out. Of course, it is much easier to do this off of the bike than it is on it. I'll put the link to the brake pad kit down below in the description. Well, I jumped ahead a little bit, just popped them on there, but now that I've got it set on there, you've got to kind of spin it, and hopefully it doesn't have any scraping noise, which that doesn't really have any, so I'm going to turn that down while it's spinning. And so far it's doing good. Crank that down. No rubbing noise. That's good. That's pretty snug. Make sure you put blue Loctite on these. I pulled these off, cleaned everything up, put new blue Loctite on there, and it's done. So let's try the brake. Locks up. Perfect. So as we move up front, you'll notice I've got my connector here. I've already mounted this on, but this connector is a 2-pin. My Baofeng is actually a 3-pin. It's kind of hard to see it from that angle, but the yellow one is a 3-pin and the red one is a 2-pin. How am I going to get these together? Well, the brake kit comes with an adapter. So let me see if I can get it close enough. You can see that it's 2-pin and a 3-pin. So I'm going to line up the little keyway there. And then pop it in. And then line up the little keyway on here and pop it in. And just like that, I got them in there. So now all I got to do is strap everything back together and test everything out. I didn't really bother showing you guys the front brake, but it's the same as the back, really. So making adjustments to these brakes, if you need to adjust, it's a Torx right here, turn it in, out, and that will adjust the amount of pressure that the hydraulics is pushing through the line. I don't think I need to adjust anything. These are really solid now, but I may need to adjust it later, and I can do that even with my thumb here. Some other brakes, you may actually have a screw deeper inside there that you got to get into. This particular set here has just got this little screw here that I can adjust as I'm going down the road if I need to. Now the grips I chose are kind of cool. They got little skulls on them, and these are by Choose. I'll put the link to these down below, and you just slide it on there and put the cap in and then crank it down and drop your Allen wrench. All right, we will put this one in. A lot easier to take on and off than the factory ones. Those were a pain in the butt. Much easier. There you go. And here it is, all back together with new brakes, ready for a test drive. And if you're interested in the stand I used, I also got this off of Amazon. It's by Rad Bikes. It's actually a really good stand. It comes with the little adapter so you can hook it up on the handlebars to the seat pedestal and keep your handlebars straight. It is a substantial tool. I can put a lot of my tools on it, and it folds up quite nicely so I can put it away. Anyway, I think I spent like $80 on this, something like that. Really not that expensive. So if you're interested in this, I'll put the link to it down below as well. So there you go. Do it yourself. Brake job. You don't necessarily have to bring these bikes into a bike shop unless you really run into some problems. Maybe fine-tuning your sprockets, fine-tuning your rotors, any fine-tuning you need to do for your truing up your wheels. You might want to go into a bike shop, but the majority of this stuff you can do yourself. You don't necessarily have to bring it in and have it professionally done. Anyway, I hope you guys like it. Get outdoors.